just want us to do some mathematics, man, for the sake of consistency. I've invited other people. We didn't really plan for what are we really doing. So let me just do this thing to pull in the other people.
Okay.
Shut the button.
Simplified are a set of guys who makes it looks easy. Your number one learning channel. Ooh. Ooh.
I think there's one more last person to join us, and then we are good to go. I think we should. I have this question here. I know, but before I go to that, because I feel like we have done a whole lot in geometry. It's not that I'm deciding to do this topic, but let me look for that image. I hope I find it. I pray I find it. Okay. If guys, I open this type of questions, how many of you are now at the state of you are confidently sure that you can do something like this? Because I don't want us to keep on repeating the same. I don't want us to feel like we are repeating the same lesson over and over. But at some point, I just feel like we need that confidence to say, Mina, this one, I'm 100% sure if it was to appear, regardless of whatever, I know I can get those marks. For 5.1, how many of you feel like this one, I'm confident I'm getting this? You are still scrutinizing it, ne?
Yes.
All right. But before we go to functions, and even if we are about to talk about trigonometric functions, we must at least understand the nature of Cartesian plane of these things. Now, while you scrutinize this, let me pull this aside. I'll come back to this. I'm being off topic a bit, but I'm still on the same topic. Let me say to you, have you ever seen a question where they say cos of 15 degrees? Okay, let me say t cos 15 degrees is equals to 1, or let me make it 3. And then I say, write 10 to make it even more interesting. And I say write 10 75 degrees in terms of t. If guys, I was to put a certain amount of money down right now, and I say whoever wins, I always said $1 million. I'm like, what? I'm like, hey, be careful what you. If I was to put a certain amount of money down right now, this question is not about money, but I'm just saying if I was to put a certain amount of money down and say whoever gets this correct, they take that amount of money. It could be 50 cents, it could be R1, it could be whatever amount it is. Who's taking the money on this one? I'm, I don't know if I'm being confident with my story or not. Can someone prove me for it? We know this thing. Anyone wants to try? Given that t cos 15 degrees is equals to 3, write 1075 degrees in terms of t. And I'm just writing this kabo because you can tell, Hori, this scenario is the same as our question 5.1. Because if you look at 5.1, they're saying in the figure below, you have da 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 da, and then we have a diagram. And then they say determine the values of the following. So we have to determine cos of alpha in terms of that drawing, but without using a calculator. Meaning here also we can't use a calculator. Anyone wants to attempt? I was joking with the money thing, guys. I don't have money. But I feel like even if I was to put a value out there, you guys wouldn't participate, would you?
We would.
Save the community. And like me, I stand against this question. The way Dalton did when he came up with the Dalton's atomic theory, because he was standing against things where he knew they might kill him. So here no one is gonna die. You are just trying. Going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, good. If you have this type of a question, guys, it's still similar to 5.1. All you need to do is to have a diagram. You must always have a diagram. But at least I expected some of you to say, if I have cos 15 degrees is equals to 3, somehow I can say this is the same as cos of 15 degrees is equals to 3 over 2 over t. How many of you thought of that at least? Even if you can lie.
I thought of it.
You thought of it, man. I know you're not lying, Mr. Man. So after thinking of that, that's when the idea of a diagram will come. Raw. As long as I have that, agree when you know in nature, cos of an angle, suppose it's theta, it's equals to adjacent over hypotenuse, which when you write it in terms of x, y, and r, cos is always x over r, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. So you know that if cos 15 degrees is on the first quadrant, because we know that our angles is 0 degrees here, 90 degrees here, 180 degrees here, 270 degrees here, and then it comes back to 360 degrees here. So you can always, like, your confidence comes from you are at a grade where you care about which quadrant should my triangle be. So here all are positive, sine is positive, tan is positive, cot is positive. I'm just giving an example using that diagram, but this question is not let me not do that because I'm not talking about that diagram. We are here. That one we're gonna talk about it after. I'm just showing because I don't want to mess up this diagram, but let me write here. So we know that here all are positive, here only sine is positive, here tan is positive, cot is positive. But already cos of 15 degrees, I can tell that 15 degrees value is on the first quadrant. And on the first quadrant, it must be 15 degrees there. And then if it's 15 degrees there. So in terms of the question that we have here, they gave us values of the sides in terms of numbers because we can find B, and then they didn't give us the angle. So here, I gave you the angle, and then I didn't give you the value of the side because cos is opposite over hypotenuse, meaning x will be 3, and then r will be t. And then I go in my diagram, I put 3 where there's no. That's why I put 3 where there's x, and then I put t where there's r. And then what do I need? I need x in terms of t. And to get x in terms of t, I will then use Pythagoras. R squared is equals to x squared plus y squared. Since I'm looking for y squared is going to be r squared is t squared minus x squared is 3 squared. Therefore, y squared is going to be t minus t squared minus 9. But I'm looking for y, not the y squared. I'm going to put square root here. I'm going to put square root here. Therefore, y is going to be plus or minus square root of t squared minus 9. But since I'm on the first quadrant, because 15 degrees is on the first quadrant, I will take the positive 1. Therefore, the value of y will be square root of t squared minus 9. You see? But I'm not done because I just finished my diagram. The question was to say I must write tan 75 in terms of t. And without this diagram, I can't express tan 75 in terms of t. So the whole question cannot be done without me having this diagram. Now, a question like 5.1, you are lucky when they even provide you with the diagram that you have to finish it up yourself. You are lucky if they provide a diagram. In most cases, you have seen that they don't provide this diagram. From the information that you have, you will have to draw the diagram yourself. Just like this question, the way we started it, it was so plain. The way this question was so plain, if you look at the red part only, it was just about 10 of cos t cos 15 being equals to 3. We had to write it in 10 in terms of 75. But through all that, we can't do anything without starting with this figure here. And then after that figure, we are happy. But now we are not completely happy because that triangle is about 15 degrees. It's not about 75 degrees. Then what's up? What do we do?
Please repeat the question.
I was saying the way our course, that triangle consists, like the way we constructed a triangle, it was about 15 degrees. Now, as in terms of their expression, they are talking about 1075 degrees. How do we write that in terms of t? Now we are executing the main question because we have the diagram already. What do you think we should do? Now, there are two methods. Method number 1, you know that 75 degrees, you can get it from the fact that if you can take 90 degrees, you subtract 15 degrees, you would get 75 degrees, right?
Yeah.
So by writing it like that, you are manipulating 15 to appear in your diagram, such that 10 or 15 degrees, then you will say, in terms of what's this? In terms of 90 minus, what quadrant is that? Do you still remember those theory that we used to talk about?
Yes.
So 1090 minus 15, what quadrant is that?
90 minus. Then the second quadrant.
Okay. Now, another thing that our brain must allow us to see must be the fact that it works like this. In the first quadrant, it starts with 90 minus. In the second quadrant, we have 90 plus. In the second quadrant, we have 90 plus theta. We have 90 minus theta. Oh no, 180 minus theta. If you feel like you can forget this, you must draft it somewhere and try to remember it over and over, because it's going to be part of your trigo until it's going to be 180 plus, also 270 minus. This one is going to be 270 plus, also 360 minus, and then this one is going to be 360 plus. And you know that the reason why it is, I think maybe we don't have to memorize to say 90 minus. It's because, look at it like this. Remember, our Cartesian plane, it starts from 0 degrees and then it goes to 90 degrees. If you go from here to here, is 0 plus. From 0, you are adding 0, 1 degrees, 2 degrees, 3 degrees, 15 degrees, and then you get to 90 degrees. If you go back from here, you are minusing whatever value you have from 9. That's why we say 90 minus. But if you go from this side to this side, you are adding from 9 to whatever angle that comes after. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Also, when we get here, this is 270. This is 18. If you go from this side, going this side, you are subtracting whatever value you have from 18, hence 180 minus whatever value that may be for you to determine whatever angle that you want. And if you move from here to there, you are adding from 180, whatever value that you want to determine. That's why it's 180 plus. Also here, when you move from here to here, you are removing whatever angle you want from 270, here is 270 minus. When you go from here to here, you are adding. So we are not guessing, we are not memorizing. It's actually just what it is being described. And then after you understand, you can just memorize quadrant 1 is 90 minus da, 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 da. Mara, without memorizing, you have to understand what is happening. Eh?
Yes.
Great. So now 90 minus 15 is on the first quadrant. Remember that story of ours of 90 degrees? Cos of 90 changes cos of 90 changes and becomes psi. Sine of 90 changes and becomes cot. What about 10 of 90? Do you know the story? Have you ever heard of it? If you have cot of 90, it changes. If you have 10 of 90, it changes and becomes cot 15 degrees. Eh? So every time you have 10 of 90 minus theta, it will become cot theta because it is on the first quadrant. But if you can have tan of 90 plus theta, that is the second quadrant, it will become minus cot theta. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Oh,
Very good. Now, in terms of that, since tan and cot, when you have tan of theta being equals to y over x, since they are reciprocals, cot of theta then becomes x over y. You know that story, right?
Mm.
Great. Now, what would be cot 15 degrees? Cot 15 degrees will be equals to x over y, which is 3 over square root of t squared minus 9, because we are writing it in terms of t. Was that too much? Not really, right?
Not really.
Yeah. It's cover and Garikal force the pay. Not really, not really. I'm joking. But it's not that bad. Now, I'm just trying to boost your confidence, Hori. It's actually about the diagram. Now, let's be confident with this one. For instance, once and for all, to show that it is the same thing. Here we have, let me just maximize that a bit. Here we have, in the figure below, the point P and minus, the point P, which is minus 5, and B is plotted on the Cartesian plane like that. OP equals to 13 units. And angle ROP is theta. We can see our angle visible there, ROP being theta. ROP. I mean, not theta, alpha, sorry, man, alpha. This, the wrong that is facing the other direction as if it's right, but it's wrong. So, without using a calculator, we have to determine the values of the following. X, Y, R. What do we have there?
X.
X is?
-5.
Very good. X is -5. Y?
It's B.
Y is B. R?
13.
R is 13, because OP is 13. Meaning, to find our B, which is Y, that's the only thing we need. We will then say OP squared is equals to -5 squared plus B squared, because R squared is equals to X squared plus Y squared. Therefore, B squared is going to be equals to 13 squared minus 5 squared. 13 squared is what? 169 minus 25. 144. Square root, but that's B squared. That's B squared. Therefore, square root of B, square root of B. Therefore, B will be plus or minus 12, right? Now, since B is plus or minus 12, guys, this part is the punchline of the question. What I'm going to tell you right now. This is very important. Very important. You must remember that in the first quadrant, X is positive, Y is positive in terms of point. In the second quadrant, X is negative, Y is positive. In the third quadrant, both X and Y are negative. In the fourth quadrant, X is positive, only Y is positive. that part is so important for you to always keep in mind, because this triangle of yours to determine those points can always be in different quadrant. It can sometimes be on the first quadrant. It can sometimes be on the second quadrant. It can sometimes be on the third quadrant. It can sometimes be on the fourth quadrant. Now, when you calculate, the moment you do a square root, whenever you do a square root, you have to say plus or minus, vele vele, ka molao wa ho ira square root. So, for you to decide why you choose a plus or a minus, it depends on in which quadrant is my triangle gonna be. So now for this case, our triangle is in the second quadrant, or our diagram determines the thing on the second quadrant, such that already we can see that x is -5. We are happy with x being negative on that quadrant, but vele x is negative on that quadrant. So here we're going to take b to be positive 12, because on that quadrant, y has to be positive. You understand? Don't forget that part.
Yes.
Don't forget that part. It matters to remember the nature of the point on the quadrant, so you can tell such things. So now our b is 12. We are happy. The next, we are just flowing. Cos of alpha is equals to x over r. And then x over r will be what?
-5/13.
-5/13. Now here's another story. We have tan of 180 degrees minus alpha. What do we do? What do we do?
Doesn't 10 become negative?
So because 108 minus, you now know it's on the second quadrant, right? So second quadrant, 10 becomes a negative. So this will be negative 10. But we are writing it in terms of the diagram. So negative 10 alpha, it will be negative, and then inside brackets, you put what the values of 10 alpha will give you. Now, according to our diagram, what is 10 alpha? You should know that 10 of alpha is y over x.
So it's 12 over -5.
12 over -5. Which is going to be positive 12 over 5. See? That's it. Guys, I hope from today, like when I started this, I didn't want to go into this part, but I just felt like since we want to move on with other people and do the real geometry, these are, and also when we do the functions of trigonometry, these are the things that we should put behind. Like we should, I know we're gonna practice for days when we are preparing for something, but for this diagram of 5.1, we've been doing this type of a diagram from the previous grade. So it's just one of the things which we must just learn to be comfortable with it. Rather, you give yourself a few days to practice it thoroughly, such that you put it behind your head. You know, like this part, I'm good with it, and then I know where I'm killing it. Otherwise, part of consistent part of consistent practice is the reason why I did this lesson, and I thought it was gonna take longer than longer, which it didn't. I'm gonna pause from here. Is there anyone who have any question or any other thing that you want us to do, maybe for now, just to, since we still have time anyway? Or you are all rushing to, I can't finish too, so I can watch my movie or scroll on my phone or have supper. I don't know. Who here has a question, Yana? Anything? I don't wanna be those typical people like, if you don't have a question, then I have. That do your teachers do that? I used to, I mean, in high school I used to have typical teachers. So it was like they would give us an opportunity to ask a question. And then obviously I don't want this class to conclude to continue. I want it to end, bruh. I want this lesson. I'm not about that life to listen to mathematics over and over. So because I want it to end, or maybe I don't even understand enough not to have a question. So I'm like, okay, Sharp, I don't have a question. And they'll be like, okay, Sharp, if you don't have a question, and then I do. And then they give you a question of what you were just learning right now. Should I be that typical also? Should I be that? If you don't have a question, then I do. Should I put it out there?
No.
Yes, no, no. Okay. I'm glad though we covered this part, but I want us to start with function. So let's proceed in our next meeting, I guess. However, we have a lot this month because it's that month of everyone will be faced with those 10 tests left and right. So sometimes time will not be enough because you'll be preparing for other subjects. Let's try to consume as much time as we have. So for days when you are available, sometimes be the one who pokes me and say, yo man, I'm having this thing, let's do this thing, let's cover this thing, because I know Hore, it's gonna be that time. So don't miss also the general lessons like this, which are not one-on-one based on what you are doing, because it helps us to, for the day when we are preparing for your test, one-on-one, you get to be covered with other knowledge that was not necessary, which is necessary at that moment. But it, with skipping that thing of trying to work at the last minute, we are working, covering all the useless chapters that we should cover. So when time comes when we should prepare for something one-on-one, we already know the other stuff. We are just specifically focusing on questions that are challenging and the ones that are relatable to that exam instead of starting from scratch. Imagine, I feel like sometimes we waste our time on things that are not necessary because we can't waste our time on 1+1 where we could have learned 1+1 go grade 1. And now we are solving serious things. So to avoid that, let's not miss those Molagana lessons like this. More especially if I create a lesson around 1:30, if I create a lesson around 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, anything behind it, mostly my last lesson where I just put everyone. But earlier on, you know how it works. Whoever comes back home from school, you can tell me if you are home earlier, then we can do a portion of one-on-one to cover some of the stuff which you may have questions on. But don't even wait for the lesson. Take a picture of the question, send me on WhatsApp when you get stuck. Let's work throughout the time and let's not use one source of working. It doesn't have to be Zoom. It doesn't have to be like, let's make education fun. You can send a picture while you are at school if you are no, but no. We are not cheating as to I'm helping you with the stuff you're doing at school. No, like I'm thinking about things that you are doing yourself for your own practice, right? Because we are not allowed to go as far as if you are at school now, then you have a work that you are doing, and then I sneak in some answers in between WhatsApp for you to, that would be the so-called plagiarism. I don't think you know about it yet, but it's so big in university. So with that being said, let's keep up with those whom we haven't spoken in a while. Let's kick it back. We are back now to normality, back to doing things the way we did, preparing for those tests. And now, as soon as you get your scope, for your term test, please send it to me so we can work on it. Ne?
No.
All right. With that being said, we can call it a day. Linda, I can't wait to have my supper, bruh. Yes, I've been talking since 3:30. So I had like a lesson after a lesson. I'm like, yo, like, so this is my final. Goodbye, guys. You can go scroll on your phone or enjoy your movies or good night. You can go out of the meeting. Shut up. So for those who are watching from YouTube, this is what we do, man. Past question papers are the secret for your child or you to make it in your high school life. No one can memorize equations. No one can memorize mathematics. We just have to work it out all the time. Simplify things for you. However, if you want to continue watching such videos, please subscribe on our channel, press the reminder button, and make sure you follow us in all social media platforms. I guess we go by @simplified_RSA in all social media platforms, @simplified_RSA. But the most important part is this one. We do offer monthly lessons at a very reasonable fee, such that if you want to join us, you can send a WhatsApp on this number, 081 465 2676. That's 081 465 2676. You are welcome. And we can offer you, by sending hello, we can offer you the first free lesson. The first lesson is for free, just to see how we can boost your confidence in this mathematics journey, in this physics journey. Sometimes not just limited to math and physics, even economics, even accounting. We're not just hit us up and you will see. This is Simplified RSA. We are the guys who makes it look easy. And we make it look easy for people like you to make sure you never struggle academically. Never, ever, ever, ever. Because we are here for you. I am Mr. Maimane, and this is Simplified RSA, the guys who makes it look easy.
Simplified RSA, the guys who makes it looks easy. Your number one learning channel.